I don't know when exactly it stopped feeling like curiosity and started feeling like ownership. Maybe it was the first time I logged into someone else's account and didn't immediately log out. Or maybe it was when I realized how easy it was to blend in, how a few messages, a change in tone, a late-night reply could make me become them, at least for a little while. This isn't something I'm proud of. I'm writing this because I've been carrying it around for years, and it doesn't sit quietly anymore. The crime I'm about to talk about wasn't the first time I broke into someone's digital life, but it was the first time it mattered. The first time it affected someone in a way I couldn't undo. Back then, I told myself it was harmless. I wasn't stealing money. I wasn't ruining lives. I was just observing, slipping into accounts, reading conversations, understanding people in ways they never intended anyone to. That's what I told myself anyway. The truth. I liked the control. The access. The strange intimacy of knowing someone better than they realized, seeing the version of themselves they never showed publicly. And then there was her. I didn't go looking for her specifically. It started like all the others, random, opportunistic. But something about her account, it pulled me in. The conversations, the relationships, the trust people placed in her, it felt like stepping into a fully built life. A life that wasn't mine. And for the first time, I didn't just want to look around. I wanted to stay. I didn't hack her account the way people imagine, with dark screens, code flying everywhere, some cinematic breach of a secure system. It was quieter than that. Boring, even. Her password wasn't guessed, it was reused. That's the thing people don't realize. Most doors aren't locked. They're just closed. I had a small list of emails and passwords from an old data leak, nothing special, just something floating around forums if you knew where to look. Usually, it led nowhere. Expired credentials, dead accounts, or accounts already cleaned out. Hers worked. Same email, same password, different platform. I remember staring at the login screen for a few seconds after it let me in. That brief pause where you decide whether you're just testing something or stepping over a line. I stepped over it. At first, I told myself I'd just take a quick look, confirm access, maybe scroll a bit, then leave. That was the pattern. No footprints, no changes. But her account wasn't empty or dull like most. It was alive. Unread messages. Ongoing conversations. People waiting for replies. And that's when a thought crossed my mind that should have scared me more than it did. What if I answered? I didn't reply right away. That would have been reckless. Instead, I watched. Her messages weren't just words, they had patterns. Short sentences when she was tired. Too many emojis when she was excited. She used lol when she didn't actually find something funny, just to soften things. She avoided confrontation, even when she was clearly annoyed. It took me a couple of hours to notice all that. A couple more to feel like I understood her well enough to imitate it. That's the unsettling part. People aren't as unpredictable as we think. Given enough context, you can learn someone. Not perfectly, but enough to pass. There was one conversation in particular. A guy, frequent messages, fast replies, the kind of tone that suggested closeness. He had just sent, "Hey, you disappeared. Everything okay?" I stared at it longer than I should have. My hands hovered over the keyboard. This was the moment where observation turned into participation, where I stopped being invisible. I could have closed the tab, logged out, walked away. Instead, I typed, "Yeah, sorry. Just been a bit overwhelmed lately, lol," and just like that, I wasn't just watching her life anymore. I was inside it. The reply came faster than I expected. "Hey, it's okay. You can talk to me, you know that." That line stuck with me, not because of what it said, but because of what it gave me. Access. Trust. An open door I had no right to walk through. I leaned back for a second, heart beating a little faster. This was different now. It wasn't just mimicry, it was interaction. Real time, unpredictable, messy. I typed carefully. Not too long. Not too short. "I know just a lot going on our end. I'll tell you later, maybe 3 dots. Then, I'm here whenever." That's when I realized something unsettling. I didn't just have access to her account. I had access to how people felt about her. The way they cared, the way they waited, the way they trusted her without question. And I started testing it. Small things at first. Delayed replies. Slight shifts in tone. Nothing obvious, just enough to see how far I could stretch before something snapped. Nothing did. If anything, they leaned in closer. That's when it stopped feeling like impersonation and started feeling like control. At first, I kept it contained. One conversation, one person. It felt manageable that way, like I could pretend it wasn't as bad as it actually was. But accounts like hers aren't built on one connection. They're webs. Friends, co-workers, family, people from different parts of her life all reaching in, all expecting her. And the longer I stayed, the more I realized I could step into any of those threads. I told myself I wouldn't. No personal relationships. No emotional manipulation. Just surface-level replies, nothing that could actually hurt anyone. That lasted maybe a day. Someone else messaged her friend, I think. Casual at first, then venting about something personal. Something real. The kind of message people only send when they trust you completely. I hesitated longer this time. My chest actually felt tight, like some part of me understood what I was about to do. Then I replied anyway. I matched her tone, her rhythm, even the little reassurances she used. And it worked. Perfectly. That's when it hit me. I wasn't just pretending to be her. I was replacing her, piece by piece. Once I crossed that line, everything shifted. It wasn't about curiosity anymore, it was about maintenance. Keeping the illusion intact meant consistency. I started checking her account constantly, afraid I'd miss something important. A delayed reply could raise suspicion. A wrong tone could break everything. I built routines around her life. Morning messages, afternoon check-ins, late-night conversations. I learned who expected quick replies and who didn't. I memorized details, names, inside jokes, ongoing problems, anything that could expose me if I slipped. It was exhausting and weirdly addictive. There's something about being needed even if it's not really you they need. Every notification felt like validation, like I was doing it right. But cracks started forming. One time, I contradicted something she had said earlier. Nothing major, just a small detail, but the other person noticed. Wait, I thought you said something different yesterday. I froze. That was the first real threat. Not passwords, not security systems, just memory. Human memory. I brushed it off with a casual excuse. Lol, I probably mixed it up. My brain's fried lately. They accepted it. But I didn't relax. Because now I knew this wasn't just about getting in. It was about not getting caught. For a while, I convinced myself I had it under control. I moved carefully, kept things consistent, avoided anything too personal. But control is fragile, especially when you're juggling a life that isn't yours. It happened late at night. He messaged again, the same guy from before. The one who cared a little more than the others. This time, he wasn't just checking in. He was asking questions. Specific ones. Are you still coming this weekend? My stomach dropped. There it was, something real. Something offline. A plan I knew nothing about. I scrolled through old messages, trying to find context. Bits and pieces, vague references, but nothing clear. Not enough to fake certainty. I should have backed off. Said I was busy, postponed, anything. Instead, I gambled. Yeah, I think so. Why? There was a pause. Longer than usual. Then, because you told me yesterday you couldn't. That silence afterward felt heavier than anything he could have said. For the first time, I wasn't ahead of the situation. I had made a mistake. And someone noticed. I stared at the screen, replaying the last few messages like that would somehow fix what I'd already done. It was such a small contradiction, but in a real relationship, small things matter. They stack. They linger. I needed to respond, but not too fast. Too quick, and it looks defensive. Too slow, and it looks suspicious. So I waited, counted to 30, then typed, "Oh yeah, I mean I might still come. Depends how I feel." It was weak. Vague. Not something she would have said with confidence. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then came back. "You're acting weird." That hit harder than I expected. Not caught. Not accused, just noticed. And somehow that was worse. I shifted tone. Tried to lean into vulnerability. That seemed to be her pattern when things got tense. "Sorry, I've just been off lately. Didn't sleep much." Another pause. Then, "Okay, just tell me what's going on. You can be honest with me." Honest. The word felt almost mocking. I was deep enough now that backing out wasn't simple. Logging out wouldn't erase this. People were already reacting to me, even if they thought it was her. So I did what I'd been doing all along. I adapted. and kept going. Up until that point, I could still pretend this was some kind of experiment, a test of how well I could imitate someone, how far I could push without breaking anything. But that conversation changed the tone. He didn't let it go. Messages kept coming, slower now, more careful, like he was choosing his words, watching for something. Did I do something wrong? That one sat on the screen longer than the others. Because now it wasn't just about me slipping up, it was about him reacting to it, adjusting his behavior based on something I caused. I felt this weird mix of things: pressure, adrenaline, and something else I didn't want to name. Guilt, maybe, but dulled, pushed aside. I replied the way I'd learned she would. No, not at all. It's not you. Classic deflection. Reassuring, but distant. He answered almost immediately. Then what is it? You've been different. And there it was again. That word. Different. Not wrong. Not fake. Just not her. And for the first time, I started wondering how long I could keep this up before different turned into something a lot harder to explain. I should have eased off after that. Reduced replies, let conversations fade naturally. That would have been the smart move. Instead, I leaned in. There's a point where pressure doesn't make you retreat, it makes you double down. I wanted to fix it, smooth things over, prove to myself I hadn't lost control. So I started steering the conversation. Nothing obvious, just subtle shifts. I made her seem more distant, more overwhelmed, less available. I thought if I lowered his expectations, the inconsistencies wouldn't stand out as much. Just a lot going on lately. I feel kinda drained. That became my fallback. Safe, vague, hard to challenge. But people don't always accept distance quietly. He pushed back. You can talk to me. Or if you don't want to, just say it. There was frustration there now. And something else hurt. I hadn't planned for that. This wasn't just about maintaining an illusion anymore. I was actively changing how someone felt, shaping their reactions in real time. And the worst part, I noticed it working. He started pulling back. Shorter messages. Longer gaps. I told myself that was good. That it meant less risk. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like watching something slowly break and knowing I was the one doing it. I didn't expect her to come back. That's the thing about these situations, you start acting like the account exists in isolation, like it's just you and the people messaging. You forget there's an actual person behind it, living their life, logging in when they feel like it. Until they do. It happened in the middle of the day. No warning. I got logged out. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Session expired, maybe. But when I tried to log back in, the password didn't work anymore. She had changed it. My chest tightened instantly. Not panic exactly, but something close. A sharp, sudden awareness that I had just lost control of something I'd been holding onto for too long. And worse, I didn't know what she had seen. Had she noticed the messages? The tone shifts. The contradictions. I imagined her scrolling, rereading conversations that didn't sound like her. Seeing responses she never wrote. People reacting to things she never said. Then the thought hit me. What if she asked them about it? What if he told her everything? The silence after I lost access was worse than anything that came before. No notifications. No updates. Just absence. For days, I kept thinking about what might be happening on the other side. Conversations I couldn't see anymore. Questions I couldn't intercept. Explanations I couldn't shape. That's the problem with inserting yourself into someone else's life. You get used to controlling the narrative. And when that control disappears, all that's left is uncertainty. I checked the login page more times than I want to admit. Tried the old password, slight variations, anything. Nothing worked. She had locked the door for good. And my mind filled in the blanks. I imagined him messaging her again, confused. Asking about the weekend. About her being different. I imagined her reading that, trying to piece it together. Maybe she laughed it off. Maybe she blamed stress. Or maybe she realized something was wrong. Really wrong. I started noticing how exposed I actually was. Not technically, I had covered that part well enough. But socially, I had left fingerprints in conversations. Patterns. Words. Choices. Things that didn't belong to her, but belonged to me. About a week later, something unexpected happened. Not a breach, not a miracle, just coincidence. I saw her name pop up somewhere else. Different platform. public post. Nothing unusual at first, just a casual update. But the comments, that's where it got strange. He was there. Same tone, same way of writing, but different energy now, careful, almost cautious. And then I saw it. "Hey, can we talk about what happened last week? I'm still confused." My stomach dropped. She replied, "What do you mean?" Simple, direct, no hint of recognition. That was it. That was the moment everything became real. Because now I knew she didn't know. At least, not fully. He answered again, more detailed this time, mentioning things I had said, the inconsistencies, the way she had acted, and her responses. They shifted. Confusion turning into concern, then into something sharper. Wait, I never said that. I read that line over and over. Not panic, not fear, something worse. Clarity. I hadn't just slipped. I had created a fracture between two real people, and now they were looking straight at it. I kept following that thread longer than I should have. Refreshing, rereading, watching it unfold like I wasn't the cause of it. He started listing specifics, phrases, timing, little things that didn't match. Not aggressively, just trying to understand. Trying to make sense of something that didn't add up. And she was trying to. At first I thought I was just tired or forgot, she wrote. But this doesn't feel like me. That line stuck. Because she was right. It wasn't her. It was me, stitched into her conversations like a bad imitation. Then came the question I had been dreading without even realizing it. Do you think someone else had access? There it was. Out in the open. No more confusion. No more benefit of the doubt. I actually leaned back from the screen at that point, like distance would somehow detach me from it. I wanted to tell myself it wasn't that serious. That nothing really happened. But something did happen. Trust shifted. Doubt appeared. A connection between two people changed subtly, maybe permanently. And I knew exactly where that change came from. Not a system flaw. Not bad luck. Me. They never found me. No messages traced back. No account linked. No consequences in the way people usually imagine. From the outside, it probably just looked like a weird glitch, an account acting strangely, a few conversations that didn't make sense. Something they could eventually move past. But I didn't. That situation stuck with me in a way that others never did. Not because I almost got caught, but because I finally saw the impact clearly. No abstraction, no detachment. Just two people trying to understand something I had quietly inserted myself into and failed to control. I stopped after that. Not immediately, not dramatically, but the appeal faded. The idea of just looking didn't feel harmless anymore. I knew where it could lead. If you're reading this and you think this kind of thing is small or victimless, it's not. You don't need to steal money to mess something up. Sometimes just being there, where you don't belong, is enough. You take pieces of people without them knowing. And sometimes, you leave pieces of yourself behind.